How long were you vegan?
I was vegan from 2013 till 2019.
So in 2019, what was the first thing?
6 years. 6 years this chick lasted, right? With all the money in the world, with all the money for supplementation, constant blood tests, getting her brain scanned all the time. What are the vegans going to say? They're going to say she did it wrong, right? They have to say she did it wrong. She was never really vegan. Let's see where Klaus from Plantbasednews goes. Remember, Klaus's channel is owned by the owner of KBW Ventures, Saudi royal. Klaus calls this dude His Royal Highness Prince Khalid. Prince Khalid bin Al-Walid bin Talal is the owner of Plantbasednews, and he is a Saudi royal, the son of an international philanthropist. We'll say philanthropist, Saudi royal, Prince Khalid, who owns the Four Seasons with Bill Gates.
You ate?
My ex-husband cooked me some fish on the grill.
So the big news this week is Miley Cyrus has ditched veganism, and we're all wondering why.
No, it's not big news, and nobody's wondering why, Klaus. Because of the same reason why everybody leaves veganism. Because veganism is fake and stupid. Because veganism doesn't really exist. Even your definition of veganism is retarded. Nobody is surprised that she left veganism because everybody leaves veganism. Nobody's even born vegan. You're born non-vegan, and when you die, you're not going to be remembered as a vegan. Everybody, you're all future ex-vegans.
Actually, right now,
all you vegans, you will all be ex-vegans eventually. Whether you have to quit the diet or whether you just die, you will not be vegan at some point.
A very experimental period. It's actually fun to talk about with you because I know that you kind of have probably some good suggestions on that, but I'm experimenting a lot with like my diet and my body and my routine and my exercise right now.
Eat some meat, girl. Eat some beef. Eat more beef. Quit being a whore. Quit taking drugs.
Isn't it interesting that Miley Cyrus ditched veganism during an experimental phase?
No, she didn't say an experimental phase. She said she felt like shit. And she ate real food. And she felt better.
Crazier.
You see how they love to misrepresent? Oh, she said she did an experimental phase. So clearly she was just experimenting. And what's the excuse, Klausy boy?
An experimental phase. But what's crazier is the fact she's looking for nutrition advice from Joe Rogan, who, if you don't know, is a glorified hunter and regularly takes money from the meat industry on his podcast.
Oh, he regularly takes money from the meat industry. Well, hey, Klaus, you regularly also support the meat industry. You did a freaking fake cheese demonstration of how to make fake cheese enchiladas or nachos or some disgusting shit with your fake plastic cheese from a company that manufactures and produces real cheese from milk from animals. You promote Tyson Foods companies. You promote KFC for having vegan options. You, Klaus, promote the meat industry. Because the so-called meat industry doesn't even exist. The so-called meat industry are the same international corporations, the same transnational corporations, the same seed conglomerates, right? As the plant-based food industry. Cargill runs the meatpacking industry in the U.S. JBS, Smithfield, all of these are developing plant-based options. All of these are what helped bring in this industrial agriculture system that has destroyed the cultures of the people who are now being destroyed further by all these other crises. This is not surprising to anybody. But it's also not surprising that you're so hypocritical to criticize Joe Rogan for promoting the meat industry or being a glorified hunter. You also promote companies and their products who sell meat. No consistency here.
He even tried the carnivore diet earlier in the year.
All right. He even tried carnivore. Well, guess what, Klausy boy? He said he felt great on carnivore, and he still does it. He still says he still does a mostly meat diet. So there you go.
I don't know what she's talking about with celery and thighs. I don't know what Joe Rogan's talking about, because I know loads of vegan bodybuilders aren't on steroids.
I know these vegan bodybuilders. You know, hey, one of those vegan bodybuilders, who used to always talk about John Venus, has recently come out as not being vegan anymore. He was the only impressive, semi-impressive one. And he had a physique that's completely obtainable naturally by people who are not vegan as well. Right? So all these vegan bodybuilders that you have left, who are impressive? Which one of these vegan bodybuilders, these so-called vegan athletes, are actually impressive that are left? Name one, please. Who do you have now? Vegan Gains? Broke, Dark, and Handsome, Frank Tufano? Who do you have now?
Might be, but the point is you can do a healthy vegan diet healthfully.
Everybody's.
Oh, you can. Oh, the point is you can do a healthy vegan diet healthfully. All right, we'll jump forward. I just want to hear what Klaus has to say.
If you're watching this and thinking this sounds woo-woo, then you're not alone. There's no such thing as a blood type diet. There's no such thing as a brain type diet. But let's get to the heart of the issue, which is when Miley says her vegan diet wasn't very good for her brain health.
Yeah. It's clearly not good for your brain health. It's clearly not good for the emotional, psychological health of any of the people in your circles, Klaus. And we're watching you all deteriorate physically, mentally, right before our eyes.
Was vegan for a very long time, and I've had to introduce fish and omegas into my life because my brain wasn't functioning properly.
So let's break this down. What Miley's basically saying is that omega-3s are important for brain health, which is true. But she seems to think that vegans can't obtain omega-3s, which is untrue because...
No, it's true. You cannot get omega-3 fatty acids that are not from animal foods unless, Klausy boy, unless you're having highly toxic algae-based DHA, which is barely assimilable by human beings and which is toxic and rancid and filled with all sorts of solvents that they use to extract it. When you are taking omega-3 supplements, you're going to freaking mess your body up. Your algae-based omega-3 supplements are terrible for you, and even your famed vegan doctors like Dr. Greger, Dr. McDougall, they're even backtracking on their recommendations to take omega-3 because they're starting to recognize the detriment of this algae-based omega-3 fatty acid that are not DHA and EPA like you're gonna get from fish, from real animal foods like shellfish, right? It's not surprising to any of us, and it's also not surprising to any of us that you're gonna try to spin this. Your little pathetic, effeminate ass is going to come over here and try to spin this and try to demonize Miley and try to somehow make Miley Cyrus look bad. When just a few weeks ago, you would have talked about her being a hero for the animals, one of the most amazing representatives of veganism, and blah, blah, blah.
Vegans have flax seeds, for example.
Flaxseed! Vegans have flax seeds, for example. Flax seeds are not DHA or EPA. Flax seeds, or the ALA, very little of that can be converted in the human body to DHA and EPA. Flax seeds are not a replacement for animal foods.
Convert the ALA from the flaxseed into omega-3, such as EPA and DHA.
It's omega-3, not omega-3, friggin' dork. All right, another thing. According to the USDA, these people are always talking about the USDA, the FDA. Check this out. Sarah Place up on Twitter posted this. Kind of incredible in a bad way. U.S. girls age 14 to 18 that are below the estimated average requirement for protein are 20%. 20% of girls 14 to 18 are below the estimated average requirement for protein. And guess what? The estimated average requirement for protein is way lower than the actual requirement for protein. So Klaus, you are complicit in malnourishing little girls. You all know these chicks that you went to college and high school with. They just eat freaking chips and stuff, right? These little girls, they're growing up. First of all, they're growing up in the public schools. They're growing up on toxic pop culture, on toxic pop McFoods, right? They're eating the global monocropped McKibble. You guys remember those chicks in college that barely ever eat real food? You see them like drinking beer and eating chips. And they become a mess by the time they're done with their 4 years at the university. Not just a physical, spiritual mess, but also just nutritionally, all their habits are terrible. Imagine how bad it is now. I was in college 15 years ago. Imagine how bad it is now. Kind of incredible in a bad way, she says. Girls age 14 to 18, 20% of them are deficient in protein. 52% of them are deficient in vitamin A. Guess what? You're only going to get vitamin A from animal foods. Beta carotene is not vitamin A. We're talking about fat-soluble vitamin A. That's retinol. You get that from things like liver. You get that from beef. You get that from animal foods. Folate, 21% are deficient in folate. We see a lot of folate deficiencies out there. Vitamin C, 49% deficient. Vitamin B12, 11% are deficient. Calcium, 80% of girls 14-18 deficient in calcium, 17% deficient in iron, zinc 33%. So many of those are available basically only in animal foods. Where are you going to get a good source of zinc from plants, Klaus? Klausy boy. So we're looking at a lot of nutrient deficiencies that are rampant right now because of the recommendations that dupes like you are giving.
So I don't know what she's saying, but it's completely untrue.
But I do like.
I don't know what she's saying, but it's untrue. Great one, Klaus. That was some good science you just dropped there, bruh. I don't know what she's saying, but it's wrong. All right, Bare Roots Farmer, $4.99 says, did you see how the synthetic folic acid can be absorbed by most women and yet is linked to the increased autism? Yet most vitamins include it. Exactly. The folic acid, this folic acid, synthetic folic acid, that stuff is terrible. Many people cannot assimilate that, and that can create a lot of issues. So the MTHFR, gene mutations, they're rampant. And these people are telling you, just supplement all your vitamins. You just take everything in a pill, take everything in a powder, just pop some pills and you're going to be healthy. It's insane. It's insane. So these synthetic vitamins, these are not very often the best forms. In fact, sometimes they're straight up harmful. And you guys can look a little bit more into the folic acid versus folate issue. Do not take supplemental folic acid. Do not. Do not. You need folate. What's a good source of folate? Liver. You need zinc. What's a good source of zinc? What's a good source of zinc? Oysters, shellfish, beef, egg yolks. You need iodine. What's a good source of iodine? Same. Liver, shellfish, fish, seafood. Simple principles. All right, focus on the good quality animal foods. The other stuff doesn't matter as much. Darren Johnson sends $4.99 via Super Chat. Appreciate that. Thank you, Darren Johnson. Really appreciate that. All the support we get here from you guys, this keeps these streams coming. They keep them going. You guys want more, you got to support. And I appreciate the support we do get. Appreciate the support from OK up in the chat, regulating over there.
Iris is basically saying that she needs fish in order to get the omega-3s, which, as I said before, is completely untrue.
It's completely untrue. You can just take a toxic supplement. You just take a toxic supplement. It's untrue.
Say hypothetically, vegans can't get omega-3s from the ALA and things like flaxseed.
ALA is converted at such a low rate, and very few people can convert significant amounts of ALA. And you see brain damage, central nervous system damage from these people who are deficient in these things.
And they do need to supplement. Well, you can get algae-based supplementation, so it is possible to supplement without having fish.
And I was like so dry from having none of these healthy fats in my diet. I did what I could with like as many freaking avocados a day as I can. Things, but it's hard to get the fat.
I also think when somebody notices a massive improvement in health from a very small dietary tweak.
That's not a small dietary tweak. Eating animals is not a small dietary tweak. Taking animals out of your diet is not a small dietary tweak. You tweak, yet twit. That's huge, man. What the hell are you talking about?
Streams of the placebo effect. As Dr. Matthew Nagra said.
The placebo, it's just a placebo effect, Miley. Even though you're talking about how you're scanning your brain constantly, you're working with freaking Dr. Ewan Cameron, scanning your brain every day. You got freaking MK Ultra, Dr. Ewan Cameron, doing brain scans on you on the daily. But no, he says, oh, you don't know what you're doing. You did it wrong, and you just had a placebo effect, Miley. All right, so we're done with you. Klaus from Plant-Based News. Guys, make sure to support Klaus from Plant-Based News.